Hi, and welcome back to the Sloom Room. We are so excited to have Courtney Marais with us today. She is the owner of Edit Your Space, and she's a professional organizer, and she helps people move their homes and put it back into like beautiful, serene spaces. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Courtney, so as a professional organizer, what are the top things that you can recommend people do when they're wanting to refresh their space?
I think the biggest thing for me is keeping it as simple as possible. I think we tend to look at a space that's overwhelming and go, I can't tackle it. I reckon keeping it simple and starting with the basics and just slowly chipping away.
Amazing. And obviously spring is here, and often that means spring cleaning. What does that mean for you as a professional organizer in terms of spring cleaning versus kind of spring refreshing?
I don't know. I think that specifically for Cape Townians, we've had a really horrible, hard, wet, cold winter. And I think we tend to neglect our spaces because of that. So I think when spring comes, it's a really awesome opportunity for a refresh and a renewal of spaces. So I think when the opportunity comes, it's a really good idea to tackle those zones which have been neglected.
Amazing. And from a personal perspective or personal experience, which rooms do you find people most often kind of neglect and they want to refresh?
Many. I think the biggest downfall in terms of refresh are probably spaces like bedrooms. Also, I think kitchens are big ones too because they're high traffic zones. So people tend to look at the chaos, ignore the chaos, and kind of move on. But I think bedrooms are a huge, huge one where people neglect those spaces.
Amazing. And how would you refresh where would you start if you're wanting to refresh your bedroom?
I think people tend to start with the wardrobe, for example. Like when you think about spring cleaning or spring refresh, you tend to tackle the wardrobe, which is great. I encourage that 100%. I think seasonal changeovers are huge as well and really important in the wardrobe. However, I think in a bedroom space where I, as a professional organizer, I would probably tackle bedside drawers are a big deal. People just tend to go, the surface area on top is too full, so I'm just going to chuck it in a drawer.
Just hide it.
Out of sight, out of mind. So I probably start with our bedside drawers. And then I think beds, linen, mattresses, mattress protectors. That's where I would start.
Okay, amazing. So obviously Sloom has kind of the solution for a refresh in terms of being able to remove the cover, wash it, and sun dry it and put it back. What other tips do you have for kind of a physical bed refresh, including the linen?
Well, I think that is fantastic that one can take a cover off a Sloom mattress because you're saving, because quite often if it's a normal mattress, the covers aren't removable. So then you have to repurchase. So that's a great cost saver. So that's awesome. I would also look at linen. I think I know that it's an expense, but if you invest in the linen that you're sleeping on, it's great. Pillows are a huge thing. And I think it's also where you can play a little bit is with scatter cushions. You can bring that in because the biggest thing with organization, as much as it is a practical solution, there's also a huge aesthetic when it comes to organization and refresh and renewal. So I would say definitely start with your bed, get some new linen, get some fresh cushions, invest in your sleep. It is very important.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you spend 70% of your life, feels like, in your, like, sleeping, sitting on the bed, napping, for those who are lucky enough to get to do that.
Yes, wouldn't that be nice?
But so that is a huge one. In terms of the rest of the house and just refreshing, I feel like there's a big correlation between refreshing kind of your space and refreshing your mind. Like I think there is, in terms of organization, a big mental shift. It's almost like once it's done.
Yeah.
Do you find that with your clients?
I do. So I find that there's a huge psychological component when it comes to organizing and editing, especially for someone who finally has the courage to reach out to somebody like me because it's just too overwhelming, or they just don't have the capacity to renew spaces. You can see that there's like this hesitancy, there's this uncomfortable awkwardness because I'm now a stranger coming into their space. And I think people tend to feel judged, which is not the case at all. I don't think I've had one client who's gone, oh, this is a frivolous exercise, because when it happens, I think they feel so like, how did I live in that chaos for so long? And I think we need to encourage people to create spaces that are easy to maintain. Also, I want people to fall in love with their homes again. I think people are avoiding staying at home. They're finding the next adventure because they just can't face the fact of being in a space that's just like overwhelming and fallen by the wayside because I can't face it, so I'm just going to ignore it kind of thing, or put it in a drawer or sweep it under a bed kind of thing. So I think it's really important. And once you have those systems in place, it's massive relief.
Yeah, I think that editing, and I love the word that you use, frivolous, because often people think editing a home or decluttering or getting somebody to organize your space is either overconsumption, which is a big thing people are talking about right now, where, I mean, do you really need 50 packets of chips as snacks? Probably not.
Yeah.
But the fact that, from a mental and psychological perspective, it is important to acknowledge the fact that it does add a sense of relief to your space, to your mind, as well as your space. And it brings kind of calm to the chaos that is often our lives, especially this time of the year. Everybody's like hustling and it's busy and it's school concerts and it's like work and everything's happening. And then the last thing you want to do is like clean out your office or like refresh your bedside table. Like that's the last thing you want to do. So I think that is a really good point to focus on. And the same with, obviously for Sloom, it's a huge focus to have the bedroom as a serene space as well, because the environment you sleep in and the environment you rest in is as important as the bed you rest on. So speaking about decluttering and refreshing, I think a big struggle for people are letting go of sentimental items.
Yeah.
What strategies do you have in place to assist people in kind of letting go to those things that doesn't spark as much joy anymore?
I've got to tread lightly in this area because I've got clients on all different sides of the spectrum. I've got some that are like, just chuck it. And then I've got others who are like, oh, I might need that, or that means something to me. And you've got to tread lightly and respect. So what I say to clients often is that if I could pick a space, a wardrobe or clothing, for example, I would say to them, look, if something hasn't serviced you for a while, why not let's pack it away and put it in a box and put it away, and then do like a 3 to 6 months trial basis. Have you missed that item? If you haven't, is it necessary to hang on to it? If you have missed it, pop it back in. In terms of, I'm a mom to 3, I have 3 kids myself, and there are certain items that are quite sentimental to me. So then what I'll do to moms or dads, for that matter, because I've worked with a lot of men this year, which has been quite interesting.
Very interesting.
Lots of fun, actually. Men are quite like precise in what they want. But anyway, I've said to them, let's create memory boxes and then take a few key elements that mean something to you or items and then pack it away. And then you can return to the box, and then maybe later you're like, oh no, I think I want to replace it with another item. Or you can do the rule of 1 item in, 1 item out kind of thing. But yeah, tread lightly. Also, you don't have to throw it away. You could just box it for now and then return later. Yeah.
That is quite a struggle. I think that I'm quite 1 item in, 1 item out when it comes to like clothing.
Yeah.
1 in, I'm like, sell, donate, throw away. And I think that applying that rule is actually quite genius for everything else.
Yeah.
Plates, Tupperware.
I'm also doing this new thing too, which I'm trying to say to people, is that why are we keeping the good stuff for an occasion? It kills me. Like you'll go to someone's house and they'll have the best dinner service. And I'm like, that's my party dinner service. I'm like, no, eat off the party plates now. Like life is too short. Why are you keeping it for an occasion? So I'm trying to also encourage that. Or if you've got like good clothes, like don't save the jacket for a special occasion. Wear your good jacket today and wear your good shoes today and like get rid of all the other stuff. Like, I don't know. I feel like let's live for now because life is so short.
Exactly. Yeah. And also that kind of reduces overconsumption.
100%.
Because, I mean, you don't really need 12 white plates and then 12 party plates.
No.
You really only need 12 plates.
If you do, how do you have the space? I'm jealous.
That's hilarious. So when you are decluttering a space, so one in, one out, whichever way you want to kind of what your strategy is. How do you start when you meet a client, they come to you, they're like, I feel overwhelmed, I need help. What is your kind of process?
Well, generally speaking, I'll get the brief from the client as to how they want the room or the space to look and feel. And then we start obviously with the declutter because we need to get the items that are no longer servicing the client out of the space completely. Then I bring, if it's okay with the client, containers in because I really do feel like this is also a huge element of what we do is that I can come in and I can organize a drawer for you or I can organize a cupboard and make it neat and tidy, but the chances of you maintaining those systems is highly unlikely. So then I would encourage bringing storage containers in. We then would create zones and categories for every item that we're pulling out of a cupboard, for example, and then we would put it into that storage container with a label so that that item has a forever home because that way no one's going to get confused in the process. They're going to know where to find the soaps or the shampoos or the undies or the socks or whatever it may be because it's going to be in a forever home. And I also wanted to touch on that earlier is that I think because, I mean, generally speaking, I am a pretty neat, organized human, but after having my kids, I really needed to create a space that allowed me to run at optimal because I was in the trenches. So I created zones in our playroom, zones everywhere, and systems. And even my 3.5-year-olds have bought into the system. So like if they're looking for a musical instrument, they know where to go because it's in a box.
It's always there.
It's always there. It does not move. And when cleanup comes, this is also what I wanted to say earlier, is that I have moms who say to me, we don't have enough hours in the day for the cleanup. And especially if you're a working mom, you know, come a Sunday, you just want to be with your family. You don't want to have to tidy up a space or a home the whole time. Whereas if you have these systems in place, those tidy ups are a lot quicker because the systems are in place.
Exactly. I read somewhere that a label is like a manual anybody can understand.
Yes, because it's not just you. If like grannies and grandpas come into the space and you're not around, they'll be like, oh, where's the medical box? It's there. And then it's got chest, tummy, you know, everything. Yeah.
So that is such a cool thing. And what I do love about it, so what we have at home is we actually have little, what do you call it, pictures of the kids' things. So a little
Picture
shirt,
labels.
a little pant, those type of things. For them, obviously, they can't read. Yeah. So the one he can now read. But
he's probably very proud of having a word label.
So, and I find that is also quite, like, it's quite kind towards them to kind of teach them from young to be like, okay, this is where your shirts go, this is where your pants go, this is where your socks go, whatever the case may be. And I try my best to have, like, when you come in, you have a space for your shoes, you have a space for your lunchbox, those type of things. But because I'm certainly no professional organizer, these things tend to kind of fall to the side when life happens. So I do love the idea of having the kind of compartmentalized areas where you have container with the label. So I love that idea. In terms of people speaking to overconsumption that kind of the home edit or professional organizing has brought, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I don't know, because I have clients who are super minimalistic and then I have clients who've got a lot of stock because, I don't know, they're the type of people who overplan and have just a lot of things. I mean, one of my clients, you know, if there's an end of range coming up and it's going to be discontinued, I think she almost buys all of it, because I mean, she loves it and I get it. I mean, I love stuff too, and I have a home that's got pockets of spaces where there's things, but I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult one. I think that we should be mindful, but also, I mean,
it is
each to their own. It's a personal thing.
Preference.
Yeah.
Do you think that obviously in COVID, and I mean, I hate referring back to this, but it was like a huge turning point for a lot of people in terms of refreshing their homes, decluttering their spaces, et cetera, because they were in the homes the
24/7.
entire time, and they were like, oh, like I need to refresh the space because I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
Do you think that when what's that lady's name? She was doing when it sparks joy.
It's just kind of off the tip of my tongue.
Oh my word! But she was a big deal.
Marie Kondo,
Marie Kondo,
yes.
method,
yeah,
and kind of sparking joy, that space, that side of it, and then obviously the home edit. And I think that they are almost contradictory yet complementary to each other, because the one was saying, if it doesn't spark joy, throw it out, and the other one was saying, throw out, but also add to have backstock to make it look beautiful, which I think, it's an interesting kind of to weigh it up. It's just an interesting kind of show and tell.
I think that you should choose spaces where you can create beauty with like hidden organization, and then you can choose other areas of the home where you will have to invest in certain items for the practicality. So like, for example, bedrooms, I would invest in a space and make it look beautiful in the bedroom, and I would have hidden organization because it doesn't have to visually be seen in that space.
No, it must work for you.
It needs to work for you. And I think also a huge thing for me as a mum, I've had the luxury of a playroom extension, so I've put all the kids' toys in the playroom, and then their bedrooms, I've tried to create a place of, this is where we read books. This is where we rest. Calm. There's no toys in sight. The same as our bedroom as mum and dad. I mean, it's a space that's just for us. I mean, the kids come in and the dogs come in, and it's a unit. We're a unit. But like, we've chosen to create a sanctuary for us there because the rest of the house is chaos. Yeah. And also the reality is that we're a family of 5, and it's not always going to be perfect. And I've had to let go of that too. So I don't know. I pick a space. Bedrooms for me are where I want to keep it serene and peaceful and simple. Yeah,
when you go to your bedroom, you must be able to be like,
yes,
refresh, recharge, and then go back into the crazy.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Speaking about the bedroom, do you think that when you declutter, refresh, organize your bedroom sanctuary, that it does add to a good night's rest? Do you feel like if it's physically organized, that mentally and psychologically and I don't know what else.
100%. So I'm a huge believer that it drives my husband nuts, and also my mom too. So I cannot go to sleep with a messy kitchen or an untidy bedroom. And my poor kids, at like 7:30 at night, I'm like, it's tidy time. Come on, pack your things away. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because you cannot go to bed in a space that's overwhelming. Yeah. It doesn't lend to feeling calm. And I think also just that initiative of like, let's tidy up so that we can finally get into bed, put our heads on a pillow, breathe, do your meditation if that's what you're into, or your stretches. But the best thing for me is when you wake up the next morning, you're waking up to a space that's tidy, and that is the best start to a day.
Oh my word.
You're not tripping over pillows or toys or socks or undies. Like, you are just waking up to a space, the floor is tidy, countertops are tidy. Like, you can actually start the day properly.
You can boil the kettle and
100%.
live your best 5 a.m. life.
And also, like, when you're going to bed at night, for me, it's the best thing ever. Like, I've tidied up, I get into my duvet and I lie there for 5 seconds, and I'm just like, that's it. The day has come to a close. Everything's neat and tidy. Yeah. I can now breathe and I can sleep.
And then it starts.
And then it starts again at like 4 a.m.
It's amazing.
Yes.
But thank you so much for everything and all your tips and strategies and ideas.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And we cannot wait to like get you into various spaces to just like reorganize. And it really makes me think, of how to approach a room I think, going forward. So thank you really
I think
very much.
anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. You can do it yourself. If you don't have the capacity, you can outsource. And
Yes.
that's also what's really cool about it. But yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.